How do conversations fail? Stick around. We are going to talk to Ken Hyra in just a minute. But first, I'm Traci Poe, the founder of the Communicate Great podcast and Communicate Great, the company. And we are here to help you with your communication skills, specifically those interpersonal. That's where you're one on one on two, but those close knit relationships, and also intrapersonal, where you communicate with yourself. But today, Ken is going to be bringing us some information. Well, really, it's involving both, where we're communicating with other people and we are communicating with ourselves. So I'm very much looking forward to that. If you have not hit subscribe, go ahead and do that. Hit notifications, like, comment, share, all of the things. Ken, thank you for being here.
Thanks, Tracy, for the invite. Really appreciate it.
Okay. I know that I reached out to you on the school platform. We were in a shared community, but I saw some of the things that you were doing and I thought, okay, I really want to try to have him onto the podcast. So I am grateful that you are here. I'm really looking forward to the conversation. So why don't we get going by you just sharing with our audience who you are, what you do, how you got started in this direction. Just go ahead and lay it on us, and then we'll get into our tips.
Sure. Thank you very much for the introduction and connecting. That was pretty cool. So, yeah, my name's Ken, and I've been a social worker for 25 years, therapist. I've helped couples and individuals through communication and relationship problems, challenges, and it's been quite the ride. I'm from Canada. I'm in Ontario. So I am kind of limited in regard to how I can reach people. So as you said, we're part of the same community on school. And I thought, well, last year, I think I'll start my own community because then I could reach more people in regard to communication challenges, and started my own school community. And yeah, I mean, it's brand new. So although I have 25 years experience, I have like a few weeks of experience in the school community, and I'm trying to move that forward because I'm finding not only in my practice, communication in general is hard
It
to
is.
to do.
Mhm.
Whether it's just even on this kind of platform or even on a daily basis, because people bring different things to the relationship. Some people have varied backgrounds and they bring past experiences, past ways of communicating, and sometimes it gets mixed up or
Right.
misinterpreted. And
Yeah.
it's all the best intentions that people have. So
Mhm.
that's what I've decided to start within the community. I don't like to do it all in one shot because communication is something to be practiced. I mean, it's easy to say the words. However, it's the process, the system that needs to be practiced. Just like when somebody's walking when they're a baby, right? That they stand up, they crawl, they fall down, you get back up again, but it's daily. And then eventually, lo and behold, you're an adult and you're walking, you're not even thinking about it. So it's even the same
Right.
kind of process, right?
Right. Yeah. It's definitely a muscle that you have to work. And it's not like you just kind of get it and then you just go, okay, I don't need to work on this anymore. It is you said process. It is truly a lifelong process to grow in the way that we communicate with other people. So with my background, I love that you started your community. I love that you provide support for other people in this area that is so, so important. And I know that was it you that I said something and you said, "Oh, but" it might not have been you. I said something about the degree with which we have our health in the way we communicate is the degree with which we have a healthy relationship. Was that you and I talking and you just added a whole other layer to it? I don't remember who that was.
I don't think it was me. I wish I would have said that. I'm starting in the
But
beginning of the
it's
year, so I don't have these
yeah,
brilliant
exactly,
things to say.
exactly. But I know that I know based on, our conversation before we scheduled this podcast, I know our conversations, just you and I have so much in common in terms of things that we know are so important and so valuable. So I do want to get into your tips, but I want to have you tell the audience how you went from social work 20 plus years doing that, and then you started this community. Walk us through maybe what you were thinking, what you were feeling, and, just kind of give us where how you went from A to B.
Sure. I don't know. That's my answer. It just happened. No,
Love it.
I I actually was I discovered school through it was through a coaching platform that I was part of, and they use the school community. So I became familiar with it, but not so familiar with it. And then as that was just last year. So as the year progressed, I became more and more of a school advocate, if you want to call it that, or I could see the benefits of it because you can come in and come out when you want, when you have time. Sure, there's things to follow. There's maybe a curriculum to follow, or a course, or just a little bits and bytes of information that you can use right away. And that's what attracted me to it. It's not like a standard therapy session where you're in for an hour, 50 minutes, um, whatever the time frame is that the therapist provides. And it's more flexible. Outside of Ontario, I can't be a therapist. I can be a coach. So I started the community thinking that, well, I'm going to blend coaching and therapy together. And I did. I have this modality I called co-thera. So it's coaching and therapy together. And I changed my um, school platform to relationship reset lab because that
Mm,
makes more sense. I mean, co-thera, yeah, great. Who cares? But relationships reset. Oh, that makes sense. So then I thought, well, that would be a better way to go. And yeah, so I have all so we're doing this podcast, and around me I've got like hun, a ton of books, right? And it's all relationship based, and it's like, well, sure, I have all this information, but how can I get it out there? It's fine and dandy when somebody contacts me from a therapeutic standpoint. However, you know, maybe there's something I could help people with um, that are just like kind of scrolling by, or they're thinking, "Oh, my relationship kind of sucks today. I wish I
right.
could communicate better, or do something different." And instead of walking away, or why does the toilet paper on the outside instead of on the inside? Why is that aggravating me? Or the the one I use is dishwasher-loading, right? Like why they do that? What's wrong with that person? It's always the little things, then they
Mm,
add up to bigger things because then people can shut down and then they're like, well, why is this bothering me? Well, there's a system, there is a process, and I got some information to share if you're willing to listen and make the change for themselves, right? And it's not just between the two people; it's individual, right? So, for example, myself, um, when I was younger, I was on autopilot. I was not doing this. I this wasn't me. I'd be staring at the screen blankly and going, and sweating buckets and all that kind of stuff. So unfortunately, my first marriage ended, and a lot of it had to do with communication wasn't there and various other things. So I went to therapy. I thought, well, I've got to figure out what I'm doing, right? What I want to do for the rest of my life. So that's what drew me to social work, the therapy part. And then it's like, wow, okay, cool. Been doing this for such a long time. I want to reach more people. Uh, Like, and I'm old. I'm getting older, right? Who knows if I'll be able to have a conversation in 5, 10, 15 years. And my mind might not be
mm,
here right now. And while I have the information, hey, how about sharing it?
yeah, yeah. So I have to say, you mentioned that, you were divorced and
Mhm.
you probably weren't communicating well during that marriage, but I have to honestly say, how many of us, because I am divorced as well, remarried, how many of us have that first marriage, second marriage, right? Where we don't get it right. And again, I really stand by the degree with which you communicate in a healthy way. That's the level of how healthy your relationship is. If you are not healthy in the way you're interacting with each other, your relationship is not healthy. And so, of course, we have so many divorces in the country, and I don't know what the world statistics are, but of course we have so many divorces because we, in my opinion, have a hard time communicating in a healthy way.
Right.
We go to school and we learn how to read and we learn how to write and we learn how to do math. Me, not so good at math, learn how to, science, history, all of the things. But how much in our pre K through 12 do we really work on communication? We don't. Maybe you take a speech class in high school. Maybe it's debate, right? That might not help things. Arming somebody who's already not communicating well with a strong way to debate. I don't know. But I just think it's a lacking skill that people, unless you go seek it out, you don't develop it.
Exactly. Yep. I concur.
Okay, so give us your first bit of advice. Give us your first tip.
Well, usually when couples come in, um, there's some kind of they feel somebody's saying the wrong thing, for example, right? And rarely that's where it really starts the conversation. It's like, well, the words that the person said, hurt me in some kind of manner. So it, it, it it's not so much that it's the words that are used; it's the way the words hit the person and their perspective of the meaning of that particular word, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So, and it's based on past lived experience,
Yes.
whether what their childhood was, their teenage years in school type of thing, their first jobs over a period of time, and they communicate in a certain pattern. And then the other person brings with them a whole bunch of stuff from their past. And somebody might say, like I said before, like, the why'd you leave your clothes on the floor? And so that is like, well, what do you mean? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with you? Like, why can't you pick them up too? Right. So it all goes back to something that happened in the past, but it's not the words, it's how they resonate and how they hit the person. And it's so automatic that people don't realize it. So, like you said, like before, like I was married before. I'm married again, like second time around, so I'm 26 years in. And even to this day, it's like some little things will happen, and it's just like you go back to what you did in the past, but you catch yourself and change it up into, oh yeah, what's the feeling? Why am I feeling this way? So you're actually becoming an investigator of yourself to understand the words. When I'm speaking like this, it's complicated, but it's not, because once you get it, it's like, oh yeah, dishwasher loading, didn't do it right. Didn't do it right. Why? Because maybe as a kid, I was told I didn't do things right. So that is hidden in your nervous system. And back in the day, your nervous system said, warning, safety, shutdown. So then the same reaction happens now because you don't realize, you don't have the awareness to know that that's why it happened because of that incident. Because why, in the grand scheme of life, doesn't matter how a dishwasher is loaded. You just reload it. Simple.
Right.
Like it's not, doesn't have to become an argument, or then you're spinning off into, well, then that person doesn't do this, or they don't talk to me that much, or they're not expressing their feelings. They don't know what their opinion is. I don't know what their opinion is. They shut down all the time. So usually the words are interpreted by our nervous system as a threat. And we as humans get to make ourselves safe. And that's what we learned in the past, to shut down, safe, or if depending on the environment, to say you're a jerk, you're an idiot, based on what you learn to respond to. So you can be verbal that way, but that's just what you learned, right? And now, if you have so an event like, hey, I'm going to separate, or I'm going to be divorcing you, it's like, what? What's going on? Like, well, you never listen to me, all these things. So it's really, when that occurs, then that's when people kind of seek help. And I'm hoping by having this school community that you kind of catch it before.
Mhm.
And if people can, then great. If not, then, hey, let's work together to see what words are you interpreting that seem to be hurtful for you, and why do they
Right.
seem to be that way? Because really, it's something that you learned in the past. It's not something happening at the present time. You're being protected by your nervous system, if that makes
Right.
sense.
Yeah, no, it does. And I like the way that you said we have to be an investigator of ourselves. I really like that. That is so true, so huge. Because if you're having a conversation with somebody and it starts to go south and you're just thinking, where is this going wrong? And I could say, and maybe tell me if you agree or not just an investigator of ourselves if we're receiving the message, but also an investigator of ourselves if we're giving the message.
Well, yeah, 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 definitely. Yeah, yeah, it goes both ways.
For sure.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
so you can have things that just start going off the rail and you're thinking, "What the heck?" And let's talk about the dishwasher scenario because this is has been a real life situation in my marriage. And so early on and you know what? I need to have a conversation with my husband and ask him. He doesn't react this way now, but he did. And I never stopped to ask what the heck happened? Right? Like, where did this come from? But he would load the dishwasher. Well, if it's not full, you come behind and add more in. So I would come behind and move things around. First of all, I like puzzles. I would move things around to try to get more in.
Yeah.
I didn't say he was doing it wrong. It was no criticism at all. To me, it's let's be efficient. It, you loaded, and now there's five more things sitting here. I'm going to move stuff around to get those five things in. That just was logical to me. So I would start moving things and he would just blow up because I was insinuating or whatever his interpretation that I was criticizing him and the way he loaded the dishwasher. And I'm thinking, Wait, what? I'm just trying to put more in." So I really like that scenario because come on, that's probably very common in a lot of marriages, just a
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah, definitely. And it spills over to like the bathroom, things on the counter, things lying around, whatever, kitchen, anywhere in the household. And it's exactly what you said. It's like we're helping out, but just rearrange this a different way, which in a logical way, yeah, it makes sense, right? However, we're humans, and unfortunately, we've got these things, emotions, and feelings, and past experiences that creep into the whole scenario. And yeah, the person's going to react adversely if they don't see it as just, oh yeah, well, thanks for doing that. We really appreciate it. Instead of what? It's a threat. What are they doing? You're making it sound like I can't load a dishwasher. I'm a guy that can do it. I solve problems. Damn it.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh, that's exactly right. Yeah, that's true. I just have to do a side note real quick. I love that you work with couples and individuals within those personal relationships. I work with groups, with
Mm,
companies, with nonprofits. And one of the things I say is exactly this. Each person here has their field of experience, what they have gone through from birth until now. And everybody sitting here has all these different experiences that have happened. And now let's put it together and see if we can get along. Right. So I really like that you talk about you have these experiences from forever, from as long as you've been alive, and that is ingrained in you, and that is a lot of what drives our communication and our feelings. So,
exactly.
I really like the work you do. I'm just
Oh,
saying.
thanks.
Like
Thank you. It's
okay, all right. Do you have anything else on that one, or do you wanna move to tip number 2?
no, I think that's pretty well it, right? It's just and I like to use simple words, right? And examples. I mean, there's a whole, people sometimes get stuck with the so you say nervous system and they're like, oh, you mean parasympathetic, sympathetic. It's like, yeah, okay, those are the technical terms. However, it's your nervous system and it's the way you react, right? So Yeah, that's I guess, and that would boil down to communication too, to make it as simple as possible and break each step down into something that's easy to use, easy to understand,
Right.
right? It's
Right.
like a doctor. The doctor's going to come in and, you know, put a cast on your arm. They're not going to say, well, your bone fragments are going to get joined by the cellular connection of all your, you know, platelets inside your bone, and they're going to reconnect over it. It's like, what? Just put a cast
Right.
on, right? So it's the same idea. I like to make the communication part simple. So yeah, I guess yeah,
Wait,
that's all I have to say.
is that tip number 2, make communication simple? I'm not
I
su
didn't, I don't know. Maybe no, it wasn't, but hey, that's what it comes down to, right? Actually,
I sorry, I did not put my phone on do not disturb. I did put it on do not disturb. I don't know why it rang. Okay,
that's all.
this is one of those things we're not gonna edit out.
Yeah,
Huh?
so this is an example, right? So somebody who's doing this, right? They may
Mhm.
get offended by being interrupted, and they say, "Oh, I can't believe Tracy didn't turn her phone off," and this is split second stuff, right? It's like, what? It's an interruption. I'm, lost my train of thought, and then they're angry. So, is that real? Is it again an interpretation of what might have happened in the past? So, yeah, it's all good, right? It
So
does,
I did that on purpose.
yeah. Well, I can't believe you did
Just wanted
that.
to see if you would get mad.
Right, right? So it boils down to the little things like that, because even though the phone rings and it's like, yeah, I get it. However, underneath, and if it's not me or maybe it's somebody else, whatever, or you're somewhere else doing a presentation, that they might get offended that, oh, I can't believe she did that.
Right.
That's a simple
Right.
thing that somebody should do. Just put it on mute or whatever you do, and then that creates kind of dissonance, and then just a terrible follow through. Just like somebody cuts you off in traffic and you blame them and you don't know their circumstance, or you might be going to see a
Right.
loved one in the hospital or whatever. Somebody's, whatever.
Exactly, exactly. And, you mentioned somebody kind of being offended that your phone is going off. I actually here's another real life example. So I was at a networking meeting and my kids always just kind of roll their eyes because I have alarms set for everything throughout the day
Yeah,
because
yeah,
when I'm focusing and I'm not paying attention to the time. And so I need those alarms to go off to remind me, oh, you've got a podcast to record. Oh, you've got to go meet so and so. And so one of my alarms went off in this networking meeting and the person leading it and it was my first time at the networking meeting and the person leading it I saw like this flash of anger just like wash across her face
yeah,
and then
yeah.
and then and then another one went off a little later, and I was just like, "Okay, I just went and canceled all my alarms."
And that's the thing, right? It doesn't have to be the tone or the words we use. It's the facial expressions too, right? So I know we can see each other here. However, if you're talking to another person, it's not a split screen. You're talking to your friend or spouse or whomever. It's they're looking at your face and they see something that you don't even realize you've done, and it's at that particular time that they uh, to say, "Whoa, hey, I just noticed your eyebrows furled, or you were you were smiling." Um, what's going on, and it's being inquisitive and not taking it personally and reacting to the facial expression, you know. So and
Yes.
that's where the awareness and that's why communication is hard. And like you said earlier, it should be taught from day one how to communicate. You learn how to walk, you learn how to write. Well, maybe keyboarding now or typing or whatever, um, but it's all part and parcel of how to get along with another human being, right? Whether you're in a relationship or at meetings, but it's hard. We take it for granted. I
Right. Well, and too, so many times that I think this is the case so many times, you kinda mentioned it earlier, we just let it go. We let it go, we let it go, and then all of a sudden, that saying, "The straw that broke the camel's back." You
Yes,
put a straw here, a straw there, a straw here, a straw there, and pretty soon you've got a mountain of straws and something's got to give. And that very often is when it gets really nasty because the person who's just been stuffing it, and often it's both people. Like, there is just this big, massive explosion. I like that you talked about asking questions. Be curious. That's my thing. Be curious. Don't assume. So many people make assumptions, and often they're incorrect assumptions, and that causes damage for
Yes,
sure.
yes, and that's how we are. That's what we're trained. I don't know if that's how we're. That's our lived experience is to
Right.
um, be on the defensive and maybe on the offensive if you're reacting instead of shutting down you're reacting a certain way instead of being curious because the more curiosity you have will spill into the conversation so instead of like yeah you did this thing and you did this in the correct way it's like help me understand like why did you get mad because I was just trying to help, load the dishwasher. Like,
Right.
what
Right.
what happened there? Like, I just want to know, not in a accusatory manner, in a real, genuine. Hey, what happened there? And if you can do it when the event happens, even better. And I understand too, like sometimes it just gets heated, and that's not the time to do it because then you're really off the rails. And it's revisiting it at a later date, just saying, hey, um, this happened before. And even then, like people are apprehensive because just let it go, but then it becomes a straw and those straws build up and then it'll just be a huge reaction later on. So like, yeah, the curiosity factor is very important. Yeah.
It is. It really, really is. So that's one of the things that I hit people with is ask the questions.
Yes.
Ask the questions. And I like that you added to me saying ask the questions. Ask it authentically. Ask
Right.
it genuinely. Ask it from a truly help me understand, not help me understand why you're crazy kind of a thing. Like help me
Yeah.
understand why you just got all the problems.
That's
No,
right.
no, 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 no. Help me understand where we got off so that we can talk it through.
Exactly. Exactly. And it doesn't have to be a full convoluted, 4 hour uh, session or conversation. It could be simple. It just, and sometimes it's, I don't know. It's like, okay, well, look, we'll work with that and see if you remember later on if maybe it's something or maybe it's nothing, but nothing. And I don't know is a good answer too, because at least you're acknowledging that the other person is noticing something. It's like, okay, you
Right,
don't know. Okay, I
right,
get it.
right.
And that's okay.
And and I don't know is also saying, well, I thought about it for a second. I don't know, right? That's a little bit of that self-reflection. I don't know. I
Right.
don't know why I did that.
Right.
I don't know
Exactly.
why I got upset that you added extra dishes and moved the cup that I put in. I don't know why I got upset about that.
hmm And,
So
and
I
then,
like
then,
that. Okay.
and then it's saying, hey, good point. Thanks for pointing that out. And I'll think about it. Or if it comes up, just let me know.
Right. Yeah, I like that. Okay. Do you have another tip for us?
I guess safety comes up sometimes in regard to conversations where the reason the person reacts a certain way is that they don't feel safe, and it's our nervous system protecting us from like I we discussed before some possible past lived event, right? Um,
Right.
the the word trauma keeps coming up a lot, and I try to. It's getting too in my opinion, commercialized. I mean, I understand its meaning. However, before the word trauma, uh, back in the 1920s and 30s and 40s and 50s, it was an event. It was a lived your life experience. So sometimes it's our life experiences that are trying to keep us safe. So
Mm,
if you grew up in a an environment where maybe people were fighting all the time, have you don't feel like you can express yourself, right? You just shut down. So safety is mainly the main kind of precursor to communication, and environments where so say if you grew up in so I'm an only child, right? So my environment is totally different compared to somebody who was brought up with brothers and sisters and were able to express their opinions, and it was okay to grab that last potato out of the bowl, and instead of being respectful and going, oh, is it okay if everybody does anybody else want
right.
this? It's like
Yeah.
Hey, you're competing against 5 other people. You're getting that potato or whatever it is that's there because that's what you're gonna do, right? And that's okay, that's great because if you, are in a relationship with somebody who's from that kind of environment, it's gonna be different from your environment, right? And how you were raised. Um, Again, the safety part, comes into play because one person's safety is different than another person's safety.
Mm,
Or is a person gonna be attacked? Um, do they feel like they're gonna be dismissed, misunderstood again, right? So
mm,
it's not something comfortable. It's like this perception based on lived experience.
right. Right, right. And I would say just to confirm for our audience, when you say attacked, you don't necessarily mean physically attacked,
No.
although that happens.
Oh,
But
yeah,
you
yeah,
but
yeah.
you mean more of verbally
Yes,
attacked
yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
emotionally attacked?
Yes, yes. Thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, yes, exactly. It's strictly emotional. I mean, if it was physical, I mean, call the appropriate numbers and get help in regard if there's something physical going on and and your safety is really threatened. Yes, by all means. I'm just discussing like just attack from a verbal. Well, that could be an emergency situation as well, in a communication aspect, because the
Mm,
perception of the other person's saying the tone is sharp or their eyebrows curled, so their nervous system is perceiving that as an attack on them, not per se a physical or a verbal attack, which is totally different. Does that make sense?
it does, it does.
Okay.
So my next question for you is I'm guessing that when you work with people and there's this history, this spiral of these negative conversations that maybe get heated and each party or one party is feeling attacked, unsafe emotionally, that you have a process, a tool, a technique to help those people or that person start to overcome these kinds of things so that there's maybe a light at the end of the tunnel. There's something that feels hopeful. I'm guessing you do some work with them. You don't have to go into it, but just to make sure, you're offering something that does offer hope.
Yeah, definitely. So exactly like you said, it's in the school community that created it, it's generic, right? I mean, there's more to the communication process. So yeah, if when somebody talks to me like one on one, there's grounding, right? It's creating a safe space for the person because if they're the person who feels, yeah, sure, there's a different word for attacked, right? If they felt, if they didn't feel safe, um, it's a matter of creating safety. So what does that mean? It means taking the deep breath and seeing where you are in this particular moment because that's all that matters.
Yeah,
You're in the moment
right.
and everything else doesn't matter. And then if you can move forward from this moment, you can kind of understand, well, this is why this is happening because you're safe. You let your body know that it's okay. I
Yeah,
can express whatever in
yeah.
this conversation. Maybe not so much. Um, I'm not. Well, maybe you've experienced. Maybe in a group conversation it happens as well. It depends on the group, so I'd imagine. But for myself, on a one-on-one, yeah, it's
Mhm.
definitely grounding, and then taking the deep breath and saying, okay, I'm safe now.
Right,
What can I recognize that's making this happen?
right, right. I know too that you talk about conflict as a data point. I think that's what you've said or wrote. Do you wanna talk about that for a second?
Sure. I said a lot of things. No, you're right. Exactly. People don't see the conflict as data. They see it as something against them, what they did. And really, people treat it as a verdict. Something must be wrong because we're arguing. That's far from the case. Really, conflict. If you don't have conflict, then maybe there's something deeper that maybe should be addressed, right? Um,
Right.
because it's miscommunication. Is it with me? Is it with you? Or is it with the relationship itself? Um, but when you have conflict, it's a starting point of, oh, a better understanding of the other person. It's not. something to be taken defensively, right? It's not a failure of anything. It's information. It's like,
Mm.
okay, what happened in your past that this is happening? Like, well, how can we problem solve it? And that's what you do with data. You problem solve for it. And because if you don't, then again, back to the straws that build up, it just becomes too much and nothing gets accomplished. However, if you take it as an information, a data uh, point, then it makes a little bit more sense to make the communication a little bit better. Because if you think about it, the conflict is your nervous system saying, "Hey, there's some kind of boundary crossed, some kind of need wasn't met, something important wasn't seen by the other person," right? So conflict is information that you get from the other person.
I do agree in that, and I was the person that grew up my mom grew up in a very hostile,
Mm,
argumentative environment, and so she flipped and went to the opposite side and avoided conflict at all costs. "Everybody, let's get along." I remember if I called my brother or sister a name when I was growing up, I'd have to write 25 times, "I will not call my sister a
yes.
pig."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it you did not have conflict. It like, no, we're not going to fight. And so I adapted that. I was nurtured into that thinking where I didn't handle conflict in a healthy way. So you have the 2 sides of the spectrum. Like, you have the person who blows up at everything, and you have the person who avoids everything. And both of them are not healthy ways, not healthy responses to conflict. And it took me studying conflict management as, as I was studying communication, I studied conflict management, and then beyond that, I became a volunteer mediator because I knew the value of doing the work to try to get to a place where you could understand each other. And that some of the cases were really, let's just slap a Band-Aid on it, and let's just, say we're sorry and write out our settlement agreement and go on your way. But some of it was, let's really work on how we live with each other.
Exactly.
And so I like that you talk about that because there truly is a spectrum, and conflict can be a really good thing if it's done in a healthy, well, I would say conflict is a really good thing if it's handled in a healthy way.
Exactly.
So I
And
I really, and I'd never really seen anybody say conflict is data. And it is, it's data. Let's learn from it, and let's kind of look at it objectively and figure some things out. So I like that.
cool. Yeah. And that's what I'm trying to get to it's data, right? Because somebody might say, like you just said too, right? Whatever the lived experience was, conflict could be like, well, my parents argued and they split up, so they felt that the child felt abandoned, or
Mm,
or the person was punished. There, they had to write out, "My sister's a pig" 25 times, right? So, uh, or something, whatever that may be. So then the body associates it with with danger, right? The disagreement's danger now. It's not um, information. It's not a data set. It's matter of. I like that the mediation part, yeah, where you have people become aware of what the situation is in order to make it make sense. Because down the road, if the couple down the road doesn't, like myself, right? You get divorced, you have kids. I mean, you're still gonna have to interact with that person down at weddings,
right.
whatever, birthday events, weddings,
All
like
all the life events, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, not just in town, but you're going to Mexico for the destination wedding, and you have you're this beautiful tropical location. There's your ex over there, and if you haven't at least tried to make something manageable or problem solve,
Mm,
then it's just going to be a
mm,
lousy time. And then is it really worth it, right? Because even that
right.
situation, no matter, because then you haven't really resolved what's happened in the first relationship, you still blame the other person. But if you can take
Mm,
the parts and look at them like a data set and say, okay, this happened because of that. I get it. They reacted that way. I reacted this way. Okay, whatever.
right.
So you can still tolerate to look at the person without. I mean, initially, you do get those feelings of, oh, the person's an idiot, jerk, whatever.
Right.
Then the other side, you unhook yourself because now you have better values and better understanding of communication. That, oh yeah, that was the past. Thanks, and you're thanking your nervous system. Thank you for that little blip of anger. I'm not there anymore, and I'm moving forward with
Right.
my new
Right.
communication style. So it doesn't become a problem. It now it's a solution. That, yeah, okay, I can communicate better. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to love the other person anymore or like them. You just, well, there they are as a person, and that's it. That's the kid's mom or dad or whatever.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and there is something to say, because I mentioned I'm divorced and my current husband is divorced, and there's something to say for your kids to be able to hold a civil conversation because
Yes,
that makes their
yes,
life a whole lot easier.
yes, exactly. That just glaringly brought back a memory that even from a grandparent standpoint, it's even they may have opinions in regard to uh, however the event occurred. It's for them as well not to verbalize something or have that kind of that well, your father, your mother, that kind of that right. Uh, No,
Yes.
even to that extent, it's not just your communication; it spills over generationally, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
it,
Yeah. 100%.
so
Yeah.
it keeps going, and if you can figure out the data of, okay, why is this happening? Why is that happening? Then at least um, you'll have more information, right? So even if you're in a regular relationship, it's not the conflict that really breaks it. It's how fast and unsafe you feel it's becoming. So
Mm,
asking questions like, what feels unfair, what's not being named, for example, what keeps showing up over and over again. These are all like data points as to how to look at things or talk about things in a different manner. Because
right.
really,
Yeah.
the repeating arguments is just unread messages. You're just missing each other's point of view.
Right. Yeah. I like it. Okay. All right. Do you have anything else that you want to share with the audience before we close out?
I don't
Any
think so. I
points we
think those
didn't
are.
hit?
No, I mean, I guess one thing too is if you're in the middle of an argument or something, just take a pause, take a break, step back, and as soon as the words come out or the actions come out, see if you can stop yourself and let your body know that, whoa, I just need to take a break here. And what I usually suggest to people is to think of the acronym WIN, right? Win. So it's W when I, right, or when you um, load the dishwasher incorrectly. I feel I is the I in win. I feel the emotion. So you feel some kind of emotion, anger, and the N is I need to ask you why this is happening or why you did this. So if
Mm, I
if
like
if
it.
anything, if you can remember when, and that might be your pause to stop yourself from
Yes. Yep.
saying additional hurtful things.
Right.
'Cause sometimes I
Right.
suggest people just put their hand over their chest and take a deep breath too. But whatever that
Oh,
signal is, you
okay.
can give yourself because you're trying to break a
Right.
pattern, right? So
Right.
breaking patterns, it's easy to
I like it.
say, "I'll never do that again." However, if you can create a new nervous system meaning by a hand on your heart or hand on
Mm,
something different than what you do,
mm,
it'll create a recognition for your nervous system to say, "Yeah, I'm safe. I can proceed this way." So that would
right.
so it's slowing
Right.
things down, not going full bore. If you can do
Yeah.
that,
I like that.
again, it's easier to do to say than do, and sometimes it's a matter of
Mhm.
practicing. So, for example, if somebody's in a session with me, I'll pretend I'm the other person, right? And I'll pretend I'll say some words and ask them, "Well, how does that feel? What would you say? Are you grounding yourself?" So it's
Mm,
recognizing so that when they go into the situation, at least they have some kind of practice.
mhm. Mhm. Right. Right. I really like the tip, and especially just kind of put your hand on your heart or something kind of kind to your body.
Right.
I see some people hurting themselves with something, and I'm just thinking, "Oh dear, I don't feel like that's okay."
No,
So,
no. Yeah, I've
yeah, so
had
something kind, something kind. to
Right.
your body.
Exactly. Exactly. Because
Yeah.
yeah, because some people do um, hurt themselves to relieve the stress and the pressure,
Mm,
which then
right.
falls
Yeah.
into a different realm of therapy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes, for sure it does. Okay. Anything else before we close out? And I also want you just to let our audience know where they can find you, where they can find you on school. We'll put the link in the show notes, but just kind of let us know how to find you. Is there any other thing that you want to share with the audience?
No, because I have no idea. Um, I don't know how to find me, right? So, yeah, I don't. It's a school community, so the link would be the best, really, in the grand scheme of how to find me, um, because that's yeah, the school link. Yeah, I mean, you could Google my name. However, you'll probably get to my therapeutic, my psychology today advertisement or whatever you want to call it, or profile. And you can by all means do that because then you'll see, all the different stuff that you know,
Right.
I have and experiences, and it's not just
Yeah.
this face talking.
We get some information. Love it.
Right.
Love it.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, we will definitely put your school community link in, and people can go check that out if they want to reach out to you. Go to the, so what'd you call it? Psychology now.
Oh,
Where's your ad? Where's
it's a psychology today. It's
Psychology Today?
yeah, yeah. So I just Google put my name in the search engine, and out of thousands of people, my name will pop up.
Love it. Ken, I appreciate you coming on. And like I said, I was so excited to have you on because I love the things that you're doing. I love the conversations that you bring up with people. It really is good, good stuff. So thank you, Ken, for coming on. And everybody, we will see you next time. Bye.